my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time.
Welcome to episode 223 of Fourth and Jawn. I am Gayle Saunders here with Jimmy Smith and Chris Mallee, and we are talking preseason, not practice. But we're talking about preseason, a game. We're talking about a game. We're talking about some overreactions. We are talking about the reality of being an Eagles fan. But first and foremost, I mean, just being at the stadium again, catching a vibe. Being there it's Eagles football, right? So I mean, it's great to be in the building and just checking in on how fans are taking it all in. But I mean, if you want to overreact, you can. I mean, before the game started, I was right down by the field, just checking things out like I normally do before the game, and here we have Jalen Hurts dancing. Look, moving to the groove. There was music. I took it out because DMCA notices. He's out here throwing the ball, just doing what he does. I don't think he looks sick yet. Do you guys see him look sick yet? No. So I mean, I guess the rumor the vibes is he had a stomach infection. Some people might call it bubble guts. I don't know what you want to call it, but I think it was just a shocker to fans out there who went to the game expecting to see Jalen Hurts. I mean, I get it. Like, you paid money. You paid good money to see your Eagles and maybe a couple series with Jalen Hurts. But it is what it is. Like, he didn't play. I know the fans booed. fans were booing their team. But right off the bat, I mean, overall, how you guys feeling today? Jimmy, were you shell-shocked by what you saw yesterday?
I wouldn't say shell-shocked, but it did suck. I mean, as a fan, you never want to see a loss, and especially like that. And for you two who were there, you said it. I think that's a big reason why everybody's so pissed off and reeling from it because, well, we expect to see Jalen Hurts. I was so excited making memes before the game. Gonna see the receivers with our quarterback. And then Joe Flacco comes out. And, dude, I was thinking of you guys like, man, if I were there right now, because I was almost going to be there. So, man, it sucks, but right away what it was. He traded to the Texans. I was like, oh, my God, here we go. I literally, within the first couple minutes, that's what I got. I was like, dude, please, somebody answer why this is happening. So, stomach virus, from experience from somebody who has stomach pains at all times, I mean, you can go out and do stuff. I think what Sirianni said was that he had that issue, earlier, and he was trying to play through it, and he went through walkthroughs. So, but you said it. He looked all right to me. Maybe they were just like, you know what? Let's not risk it. And it's a preseason game. What I will say is our backup quarterbacks are completely atrocious. So how the hell are we supposed to see what any of these receivers look like? So, yeah, I'm a little pissed off. It's preseason. I love what you said, over-exaggerating. Last week, people are over-exaggerating. We're going to the Super Bowl. Now this week, dumpster fire, we're not winning a single game. So let's pump the brakes. We take everything with a grain of salt. There was definitely some good, definitely some bad. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah, overall, I'm just happy I had fun before the game at my friend's tailgate because the game overall, not that I'm putting too much stock in what we saw or what happened, but it was just tough to sit there because I'm sitting next to Gayle and like everyone's pumped up. Like we watched warm-ups, Hurts looked really good, and all of a sudden I look at my phone and I got the update from Garofalo saying like Hurts has a stomach bug, he's not playing, and that like Fletch isn't playing, and like Fletch and them not playing, that wasn't a big deal, but man, like this is what I had to say about initial reaction. It's really tough for the fans, but imagine being one of the players that's trying to make the roster, make the 53, and you can't get the ball even remotely close to you because Flacco and Mullins are just awful. Like and like the thing is like they're not like rookies or second years our third years even. Like Mullins has started a lot of meaningful NFL games when Garoppolo went out. Flacco's won a Super Bowl. It's like they just look lost out there. I know the line wasn't playing like super well, but that being said, like Flacco and them, they were taking like 10-step drops, and like it's like you're not gonna have that much time, and it was bad. But overall though, like initial reactions, it was more of an effort thing for me that annoyed me for some of the guys. Like the run defense was horrendous. But overall though, like there was a ton of positives that I saw on defense. Offense, our receivers were getting open early and often, and Kenneth Gainwell really shined, and I think Jordan Howard has shown that he's not washed up. He's still young, and he was catching the ball, blocking per usual, and he looked really good running. So I'm just excited for the week 1. Like obviously we have another preseason game, but I'm not overreacting to last night.
Brian says there's a report that Hurts has diverticulitis. Interesting. I didn't hear that. That's my dad always talks about that word. I'm like, my dad's always lying about what he has. I don't think he has. I can't even say the word.
Diverticulitis.
Shout out to the Painted Lines. Let's take last night and throw it out the window. I mean, I think people want to throw it out the window. Bryant, that was a lie. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. But the whole, I mean, it's one of those moments where, Men in Black, where they come up with the beam thing, and you just want to forget everything. Do that to yourself. I feel like Joe Flacco yesterday in the offense didn't really bring the seasoning for a seasoned vet. He put raisins in the offense. I wasn't.
Don't put raisins.
I was like, he brought the raisins in the offense. I mean, the one thing, I mean, for the price of admission for me, made it all worth it was Devontae Smith. Like when I got in my car to drive to the stadium, the only person I had on my mind that I wanted to see snaps from was Devontae Smith. And I got my money's worth, whether it be the short amount of reps that he had. Well, I mean, he did get enough ample time to play. I just like the reps that he got and the ability that he showed in the route running. I mean, like my bacon, I like my routes crispy, and he was serving up the bacon all night. Like, I mean, the way I think you have to break out a protractor on the geometry of the angles that he's using to get separation, and the way he flattens his routes, and you see the instant separate. That's the difference between a bad, like a decent route runner and a great route runner. If you're watching some of the routes, go back and watch the routes. I mean, if you have Chad Ochocinco, the casual is like, oh, he dropped it. Ochocinco's out here like, did you just see what he did? So I mean, right off the bat, how are you guys feeling about his performance last night?
Dude, I took all of his plays and took video, booked down every single one because I already saw the slander and was not having any of that. You just said it. You like your routes crispy, like you like your bacon. Me too, man. And I love watching him. I think from now on, when I go to games, I'm going to bring ankle braces for the opposing cornerbacks because this man is going to break plenty of ankles. As you saw, that one route where he gets like that 7-8 yard gain, whatever, for a first down. The way you said it, it's a perfect 90-degree angle where he just cut back. That man, I'm surprised the guy didn't fall over. That was a good job by him, but he's going to do that nonstop. But we talked about it, Joe Flacco. How are you supposed to see what you have in these guys? One of those throws, and as Devontae Smith, I want to see him catch it because it's behind the back. And I guess Flacco did have to place it a certain way to keep it out of the cornerbacks. But, dude, the ball placement was pretty terrible from most of the throws. So that one where he drops it in the beginning, if Flacco hits him in stride, the dude's going, 15, 20 yards, who knows? But regardless, I thought the kid looked amazing as advertised, especially, coming back from an injury. And we talked about it. You want to gradually get him back. Some people didn't want to see him yesterday. I wanted to see him. I like the idea of getting these guys up to game speed, knocking the rust off, rather than the Doug way of thinking where you bubble wrap them, then they get effing hurt anyway. So I liked it, and I liked that it was he, Reagor, Watkins, all out there for predominantly the first half. So nice to see those guys get the reps. Love to see what Devontae Smith is bringing already.
Yeah, Devonta looked as advertised. Obviously, some people are reacting to the drops. If you watch him in college, that was very weird for him to have the drops. That being said, the ball placement wasn't great. That being said, as a pro, you want him to catch the balls. But I'm glad that he got that out of the way now, because he's a guy that's going to be a 10-plus target guy all season, or should be, because here's the thing that Eagles fans are used to. We get excited when Zach Ertz catches the ball for a 9-yard gain and just like falls over. It's like, nice, he caught the ball. That's how low our expectations were, because we're so used to Aguilar and these other guys dropping the ball all the time. But Ertz was always the steady Eddie, but he was never the yak guy, never the explosive play guy. Devonta Smith is a guy that will catch 10-plus targets a game, and he can score on any given play. I know that people don't really look at him as like the blazer, the speedster guy on our team, especially when he was at Alabama, because he always had like Jalen Waddle or someone else or Ruggs around him. That being said, Devonta Smith can score from anywhere on the field. And what I saw was 4 or 5 yards of separation. I mean, people are showing highlights of like people like Calvin Ridley and Keenan Allen during the offseason just leaving cornerbacks in the dust. Like, that's what we have with Devonta Smith in regards to getting open. You have the Justin Jefferson type of guy that just understands the whole route tree, gets stems on routes. Like, he's always going to be open, and he's going to be Hurts' best friend.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about best friends, his other best friends in the offense. Rager was out there, and Watkins was out there, but the other friend that I was expecting to see a little bit more from, or that's the one guy I was looking for to do some damage, and that's Travis Fulgham. You talk about the back end of the wide receiver group. You talk about who is going to be those guys. I mean, will the real Travis Fulgham please stand up? That 4-game streak, you're like, okay, what do we have in Travis? And you're talking about Devonta Smith being out for a certain amount of time the last couple weeks. That was your opportunity to shine, getting all those reps and stuff. Being at shout out to Mel who hooked that up. Being at the joint practice with the Patriots and the Eagles, that for me, that I feel, after last night's performance, I still feel okay with what transpired, because I saw the joint practice, and I saw how well they played and how well the defensive line dominated the Patriots. But it's like watching the one-on-ones and watching the Eagles wide receivers connect with Jalen Hurts. Some people will say, they need that chemistry in front of the bright lights. I think they've developed some chemistry on the field. So, I mean, obviously as fans, you'll be selfish. Like, you want to see that out there for a couple of series, but I will be going to the Jets Eagles joint practice on Tuesday. So again, I will get an opportunity to see up close for myself what's going on, and I can figure it out for myself and not go crazy. But Tom had a question here. He said, what part did Howie have in last night's decisions?
We were talking about that in the stands. Like, people were like, do I blame Sirianni? Do I blame Howie? It's like, but in regards to Hurts, it's like, because people are like, is that smoke? Is it fire? About like the whole stomach thing. I'm like, it sounds pretty legitimate, because like Schefter even reported that he went to the hospital and got it, and like to just make sure everything was cool. That being said, though, like, I could see that maybe they had just had like a one-on-one conversation, Sirianni and Howie, saying like, hey, like, we're a couple injuries away from what we saw last night. Maybe we do chill. That being said, like, who knows? Like, probably never know.
I mean, you don't exactly what Chris just said. They had no idea what was going on. He had reported earlier in the day that he was feeling something. They wanted to be precautious. I think probably at that time they probably should have done something with him, because if he had COVID, or I don't know, but apparently they gave him that test. They gave him some tests, had whatever bug. But it's like, my question is, when did preseason become so important? I understand that we're retooling and there's a new head coach. We've got Jalen Hurts as a new QB1, but we talked about it all week, how important these joint practices are. Monday and Tuesday, he got plenty of reps against the ones of the Patriots defense, and he looked good. He's going to get plenty of reps when Gale's there in Florham Park, New Jersey. So they get 2 days of those joint practices. And we talk about the joint practices and the preseason being glorified practices, essentially. So it's not important to me. If he really was feeling some way, I'm not throwing the guy that's supposed to be my franchise quarterback out in preseason. I understand Flacco and Mullen suck. I understand it sucked for the fans, but people looking for a narrative here. It's early, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a bumpy road or two throughout the season. So prepare yourselves. This is a new team. It's going to have a lot of, this is something that's not a big deal to me. And I think people are just really hungry for the season.
I mean, when you talk about big deal, I mean, there was a moment yesterday I got to speak to a family member of one of the players, and it's a big deal for guys on the back end of the roster who are looking to find that roster spot. And if they had a bad game, like to us, it's just a bad game, but to a family member and a player, that's meaning that you have to potentially move. That means that you're uprooting your whole lifestyle that you're accustomed to, that one of your family members might not be here. So, I mean, like for us, it's a different level, but for family members of these team members, because it's interesting. I never get that perspective, but when you see people's faces and they're like, I don't know if, it's a whole different beast. But I felt like back into the roster guys, I wanted to see more of, but in terms of guys who flashed, we'll go over some guys. People in the comments, if you guys have some guys that flash for you, let us know. But Kenneth Gainwell, yes. I think Kenneth Gainwell, he's a guy he flashed the ability to catch the ball in space. He's very shifty and nifty. I feel like he's going to find a nice little, I'm not going to call him a Brian Westbrook yet, but like a Westbrook type or Nyheim Hines Colts role in this offense. He's been effective catching the ball. I think he's a guy that could do that orbit motion. You can move him all over the field. I think you could do a lot of them. We could put him in the slot if you want. So, I mean, I like what I saw from him. Did you guys like what you saw from Gainwell?
Yeah, I loved what I saw from Gainwell, man. He looked really good. I mean, I think I saw a report today that he's the highest rated rookie for the Eagles so far in the preseason. And it shows, though, because, like, we were talking about it when we were at the practice and the last preseason game. Like, this guy missed all of 2020 because he opted out. But in the 2019 season, he had one of the most prolific seasons for a Memphis running back or just any of the running backs in college. Like, the dude was a 2,000 yard all-purpose, and I think he had like 25 plus touchdowns all-purpose too. Like, and the thing is, you don't have to rush him into it, and he's gonna grow into his NFL body. But you just see the balance that he has and vision and his versatility. Like, the dude literally has been like tripping and almost falling over, just getting hit by a turf monster, but he still catches the ball, and then he doesn't get hit. Like, people are worried about his size. He doesn't really get hit because, like an Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey, he understands leverage and angles, and he just kind of like slips like the shoulder a little bit instead of getting like popped in the back or chest to chest by a safety. He's always getting hit like right off the shoulder and bounces right off. But he's a savvy player, man. I love Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, I was talking about it earlier on the timeline, saying like I went nuts during the live show when we got Gainwell that late in the draft because people thought he was going to be like a second round pick before he opted out.
Yeah. The Painting Line says a big part of the disappointment for me was hearing about how much Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor were dominated during practice against the Pats. It just sucks that we didn't get to see any of it. Some of those coaching points, the hard jabs, and the Coach Sirianni talked about being a 3-point threat and throwing the jabs to get open to make the shot. And then I put a you can check my timeline. I have a route from Jalen Reagor on a slant. He hits him with a double jab, and then you're talking about him getting into it. Coach Sirianni giving it to him in practice. And then him applying what he's been coached to jab it up and getting open. I think Quez Watkins posted a route from Quez Watkins as well. And he was Quez. We didn't get to see Quez too much last night, but I felt like Quez overall he's been kind of on fire. I do think. I mean, if you've seen what they were doing in practice, yeah, like they saw enough, like we don't got to show anymore. Like we're good. Or do you guys feel like they have to have these two series in front of like fans to be like, okay?
No, I don't think anything relies on the fans as much as people say when they're like, "Oh, the fans don't matter." It's like, well, they really don't in a sense when it comes to things like this. It's like Sirianni needs to see what he needs to see. A lot of these back end guys sucked, and what pisses me off is the fact that you're fighting for a job. I don't give a shit if you're a backup, dude. You should come out there. There needs to be accountability. So what I hope is happening in the next practice or meeting or whenever it happens is we don't forget any of this game. We actually remember every damn second of it. You sit there and you break down every damn detail as to what you did wrong, and these guys get better. It's the only thing we can hope for. But yeah, I wanted to see it as a fan. Hell yeah, I sat down, was ready to go, wanted to see my Hurts and Smith. But you know what? If it allows them to be healthy and ready for week one, I'm ready to see what we can. Fulgham, I agree with you when you said that earlier. He only saw like 14 snaps in the game. That's really not good. But then again, Arcega-Whiteside only had like 8. Hightower had like 13. So those guys, I feel, are really battling each other for this job. Those guys needed to step it up with those reps. That's what I needed to see in these reps. And for guys like that, it's kind of telling. You look at their snap count, then look at someone like Kenneth Gainwell. We're talking about how great he was, right? Like 5 carries, 21 yards, 3 catches, 23 yards. And that's 4.2 yards per carry, 7.7 yards per catch. That's really good for a small sample size in 15 snaps. That's what he did. It feels like he was out there the whole effing game. Now you're talking about these other guys have about the same amount of snaps, and you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear a single word about any of these guys. So that's concerning as hell for me. Travis Fulgham, we talked about it, flash in the pan maybe, hasn't really stepped it up. So I would have liked to see these back end guys really play with some heart, and they didn't.
Well, the one guy who showed out, shout out to MMM Torres, Milton Williams, the guy who I was hoping that would flash again, and he did so. I feel like at the end of the day, like the defense, it is what it is. I would have liked to see more. One guy that we did see more of, Alex Singleton. Again, another game where he's flashed, roaming around the field like he's king of the jungle, the lion hunter out there. It just seems like he was around the football all day and then some.
He was. But wasn't the one good thing from last night, though, right? Not just Alex Singleton. It was TJ Edwards, Sean Bradley, Eric Wilson. Yep. The linebacking room in a 35-0 loss where everybody sucked. The linebackers, that's the one issue we pretty much talked about that still is glaring. And we talk about it. Maybe it's not an issue. It's just a huge question mark. There's a lot of young guys, and the 2 young guys, Davian Taylor and Jacoby Stevens, they're supposed to be nickel linebackers. So how can these other guys that have struggled in coverage, how will they play? Alex Singleton all over the place last night. Edwards, I'm really excited that these guys are stepping it up. They know. Somebody had asked Eric Wilson the other day, or Alex Singleton, about Eric Wilson and he, being undrafted, and these back end guys, dude, they love it. And right here, Jones says it. They're hungry. Got a chip on their shoulder, man. And I'm excited about the linebackers.
Yeah, the linebackers look great, man. Fran Dunphy, shout out to him. He always does the breakdowns. Dude, they disrupted so many. Like, they had 2 blockers on them and got around on so many screens or run games. And, like, you could tell, like, dude, Belichick was probably losing his mind because Singleton was all over the place. Wilson looked really good. And it was just nice, though, man. People were flying to the ball. And that was the effort that I loved with the first-team defense compared to the second and third team. It just shows you that, like, behind those guys, it's a little thin. But I'm just happy that Singleton's healthy and just looked great last night. He showed out.
Now, Pete Nathan has a question from Twitter. He says, do you guys think Hightower makes the team?
Practice squad, maybe.
Right now, it doesn't not look good at all.
Yeah, if I'm going to be on, he's a guy who showed that he could separate last year, but we talk about consistency wins. I got a guy who's consistent in Greg Ward, who plays special teams. We saw Hightower out there returning kicks. Yesterday, return a kick. It's about consistency, and I've heard some things. But I'm not trying to be Mr. Rumor guy, but I'm just saying I've heard some things that allude to the fact that he has to either mature or start respecting what it takes to get to the next level. Because we look at Quez Watkins, they're both kind of like in the same camp. And the difference between going good to great is the little things. Quez Watkins has done everything, whether it's precise route running. I mean, just his ability to get open and be consistent. Like, you can flash, that's great, but you have to be consistent. And I think you could look elsewhere. I think if he's on the practice squad, he gets plucked.
Yeah.
Maybe. You said it though. He needs to develop. I don't really think I've seen any of that from him. It's crazy. You hit the nail on the head. Quez Watkins. He had some of the same kind of issues. Hey, he's got to grow up. He's got certain things he's not doing. He's not working on. What did we see all off season? Training videos of Quez Watkins working on his route running, working on his hands. And I don't want to see that. That's fine. That's exactly what I want to see. Him doing what it takes to get better. And now look at everybody. He's their favorite receiver. He's going to the Hall of Fame. It's like, holy shit. Like, yeah, he's fast. He's good. That's what we've been talking about. This is exciting to see, but they've all got to be doing that. There's competition. You look at it, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, and you said Greg Ward, Mr. Dependable. For me, that's the 4 that are making the team already. Beyond that, I have no idea. Last night, I wanted to see between the 3 guys I mentioned in Fulgham, Arcega-Whiteside, John Hightower. I didn't see shit from any of them. And then you talk about Osborne. You talk about, other guys that are in here. At least they're making catches and stuff. So it's like, I really don't know how many we keep. Hightower has a very slim chance because Arcega-Whiteside and Fulgham have done absolutely nothing. All it would take would be one of these guys to step it up, and they haven't. So, but you said it earlier, Gayle. With Flacco, Mullins, I mean, how are you supposed to find out? So this is really tough. Hopefully they're seeing a lot more, which they are at these joint practices.
Now, Chris, I'll let you take this. Adam says McPherson also needs to bounce back because he got torched. Mike says Zach.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Had a rough one for sure. What did you think of his performance yesterday?
Yeah, I think a lot of it I would say part of it was just like the pressure was really bad. So Cam Newton and Mac Jones had a lot of time to get these guys open, and Belichick, the classic like crossing routes that he used to do with Edelman and Amendola. But Jacoby Myers, I know he's not a big name guy, but he had a really good season last year, and he's very underrated. And he made a lot of nice plays against us. But the main thing I want to talk about, Zach, he looked like a rookie. He absolutely looked like a rookie, and he looked like a guy that was not a top-tier pick for us. He was not. He was a 4th-round pick. The main thing I want to say was seeing that last night is exactly why us 3 and everyone else was very relieved when we got Steven Nelson, because imagine if like that was Jacoby Myers and Cam Newton throwing against us. Like, we go against Patrick Mahomes. We go against probably the toughest wide receiver schedule. The NFC East is loaded with receivers. Outside of that, we go against Tyreek Hill. We go against Calvin Ridley. We go against Kyle Pitt. Like, it's a load. Imagine if Zach as a rookie, had to cover these guys and just got deflated right out of the gate in his career. That's why it's very fortunate that we have a guy like Steven Nelson, who is he going to get beat sometimes? Yes. Is Slay going to get beat sometimes? Yes. That's football. But these guys are vets. They're going to bounce back, and they're not going to get completely deflated. That's why I was happy that Zach at least battled back. He battled back in a lot of the after a lot of the plays, but you saw the inexperience and saw that he was like, wow, like this is big boy football. Like, and this was Jacoby Myers. Like, this wasn't exactly Julio Jones or AJ Brown he was going against. So it's good though, man. You got to get out there and you got to fail forwards though. And that's why I'm happy that I wish he played a little bit better. That being said, that's what I expect though. And it's good that it happened in the second preseason game and not on not September 12th against Atlanta.
Now, shout out to Daniel from Sweden, if I'm correct. Any glimpses of J-Jaw talent under the new staff? I know they've been using J-Jaw in the slot, and I think if they're trying to, all slots aren't created equal. You talk about Greg Ward and J-Jaw's body size, 20 pounds, Ward is like 20 pounds less. If you're talking about utilizing J-Jaw to his best ability, and that would be as a 50-50 guy. And now if they could get something out of J-Jaw, which people have, he's flashed in camp. If he becomes, again, I still have questions, I would like to see more. I didn't really dial into J-Jaw when I was at camp. He was the last guy I saw Devontae in full pads that day, and I ran. I was like, I got to get up there. But I feel like J-Jaw it's really put up or shut up now. Hopefully he gets some more snaps to do something in preseason. What do you guys feel about J. Joe?
I already said it. I needed him to step it up, and he didn't. So for me, it's Hightower, him, Fulgham.
I think maybe one of him or Fulgham makes a team just because they're kind of the two big body guys that we have, because Quez isn't that big, Devonta's not that big, Rager's not that big. So, like, maybe by default, like, they're, like, the larger X receiver types. But it's tough, though, man, because, like, they're not really seeing good looks from Mullins or Flacco. And to highlight that, the only good day they said J-Jaw had was last Tuesday. They said he had a pretty good day in practice. But then it's just, like, J-Jaw dropped the ball on a slant last night, and it was just one of those things, like, dude, like, I understand, like, the opportunities aren't many, but you got to be ready and you got to catch that. And it's tough, man. I mean, the expectations for him were so high because we overdrafted him by so much. But that being said, like, dude, you got to step up, and it's just really hard to see the fight in him right now.
I mean, Chris, you're talking about being ready, but you never know. You always got to be head on the toes, head on a swivel, because you never know when there's going to be a Manscaped read. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their fourth generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANSIDED20.
Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. This fourth-generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on-off switch, can engage a travel lock, and is even waterproof.
The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when you need for more precise shade throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes a Weed Whacker. No, includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear.
Now get 20% off free shipping with the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com for clean Trinity and beyond. Your space balls will thank you. We want to thank you for sticking through that read. It's always a great time. But speaking about great time, the halftime show, the biggest play of the biggest play of the day was made by a four-legged animal. This guy was out here catching them, not like Aguilar. He was out here catching them. Peep this. I think that was the biggest cheer of the night. I'm not even lying. I swear to God.
Offensive play of the day.
Like, Eagle fans were like fully focused on these dogs because they were just like, bro, this is so bad. Like, the fact that how many times do we move our seats?
We probably move fucking 5 times after the Herbig snap over, after the Herbig snap over Flacco's head, which was like second play of the game. We're like, what the hell is even that? And we all just like kept moving around and talking to people.
Can I just say, it might have looked like, I want to piggyback off what wow, now he's asking for Evan, and I'm saying his name. I want to piggyback off what Chris said. Zach McPherson, he was getting murdered at one point, and I felt I had to make a tweet instantly, and it pretty much echoed what Chris just said there. Guys, we literally weren't really blitzing. It's vanilla defense. The line was atrocious. No starting line, so no pressure really. Some comment was in there. Loved that comment. Agree 100%. So the poor kids out there on an island, and this is, like Chris said, exactly why we wanted a veteran cornerback like Steve Nelson here. Not saying he's an all-pro, but you don't want to hinder this kid's future. And here in Philadelphia, if this kid isn't an all-pro in a preseason game, they're going to be after him. So try to talk about that, and it was like, look, let's pump the brakes just a tad here. Still believe in the kid. High hopes. Just very grateful that he does not have to be a starter. So I liked what you had to say, Chris. Just wanted to say that.
Pete says Zach Mack will improve down the line.
Exactly.
Yep.
What was I going to say here?
Sorry.
James says you can't do a Manscaped read without the Manscaped Evan Hollywood Hearn. Evan is actually in Vegas as we speak. He is well groomed, I guess, and he's doing his thing out there in Vegas. With I think it's someone's getting married or whatever.
He's gonna come back with some good stories for the Manscaped promos.
But speaking of marriage, our guy Prime is getting married tomorrow. So there's a lot of things going on in his life right now. I'll be having a little outing at his place tomorrow. I'm going to try in there. I'm not going to do a live stream of that, but I can ask him what he feels about one of his favorite linebackers, maybe. But I have, if you guys have been watching the show, you'll get it. But I do have a huge surprise for Prime. Yep. So I had to wait for the next show that he's on. I have a huge surprise.
Tune in. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
It's awesome.
So
it's awesome.
If you want to be there for the reveal, I feel pressured that I want to go tell him the surprise because it's so awesome that we got to see the live reaction of it. So wait for that.
Yep.
Wait for that. Let's see. I mean, if you guys have any questions in there, let us know. This isn't going to be a long show. We just wanted to get the recap. I mean, looking at the timeline, I always put out like a GIF meme grade because I just want to see how people are feeling. Sometimes I'll put mine in there. Sometimes I just like to see how the people are feeling. Some people put some hilarious memes and GIFs in there. But overall, I felt like the timeline was, some people were, I'm the realist. It's preseason, or it was either I need to see more, or I'm an embarrassed Eagles fan. That's not how we play football here. I mean, Lane Johnson said that wasn't good enough, what they showed out there.
All of the above.
So you can say it's all of the above, or preseason doesn't matter. That's preseason matters.
It does. The details are the most important things.
But it doesn't matter, but it does matter.
So true.
So
you have to be able to look at it and take everything with a grain of salt. You have to be able to break it down and say, okay, this is why this happened. This is why this is happening, or this is what he needs to improve on. And a lot of times, you said it earlier, a guy going to lose his job because, hey, man, I didn't have a quarterback that got rid of the ball within 5 seconds. Hey, I didn't have, a receiver that could catch. So these guys do affect each other. So you have to look at all of the things around you, take everything into context and just really break it down. But you said it, Gayle. I mean, there's a really mixed bag of emotions. I'm going into this entire season just pumping my brakes, man. Temper my expectations. I'm looking forward to the development of these young guys and the future that we are building. The hell we were in the last few years, I'm ready for that to be over, and it is. So let's hope that Sirianni's a great coach. Hurts is a good quarterback, and then we can build on that foundation. 10 picks, ass loads of cap space next year. I'm still excited.
Now, 2020 Vision says he can't see Hurts in the first team playing in the final preseason game. What say you, Chris?
Go first, Chris.
Okay. It's tough because we're used to 4 and then it's 3 now, and we didn't see the first team play. Right now, I would have to say no, given the vibes that we saw last night at home, because I would have thought that if they did play the starters, it would have been at home. You know what I mean? It's just it's a little different. That being said, maybe the Hurts news last minute kind of threw them off, and that's why they ended up changing some things. But right now I'm going to say no. I have a feeling that they're not going to do that. And for some reason, I swear the field in New York, the Jets field, is like cursed and people get injured there. So I'm good. I do want to see them, but I don't.
I think for me, you said it. They're going to be at that horrid field down there in Jersey. So it's like he's going to get 2 days in Florham Park there, joint practices with these guys. I'm hoping they use that time just like they did with the Patriots here in Philly. So let's hope that he gets what he needs. But I'll be honest with you. I think he could see a drive or two. But that Chris just kind of mentioned something there where he said maybe their reaction to him being out led them to keeping other people out. Maybe they're thinking, you know what, we're going to have some of these starting offensive linemen play next week too, just for a drive to let Hurts knock some of this rust off. And maybe some of these guys like Fulgham, Hightower, maybe we'll get a chance to see them with an actual quarterback throwing them the ball rather than Flacco or Mullins, where we can see absolutely nothing from these receivers. So there's a tiny chance for me. I would love to just say no because, like Chris said, it's the last preseason game. You got to see what the hell we got. But we know Flacco sucks. We know Mullins sucks. So we know that we need a different backup. If anything happens, we're kind of screwed. So maybe we do. I'd say there's about 30-40% chance we do.
I just want to shout out Jordan. Again, I peeped Jordan in the crowd. He's like, yo, I see you, man. And I look to my left and I point up. Always good seeing Jordan in the crowds out there. Speaking of crowds, there's going to be an open practice on Sunday. And we do have tickets. Last open practice, we hooked up some people in the chat. So I just want to reward some of the people in here. I got a couple tickets out here. So if you are interested, I'm going to give some tickets away for that. I know Moira went last time. Then we did give tickets away for the preseason game, and I forget. Shout out to Alex. It was his birthday. The person who won the tickets didn't. He was a rabbi who won. And then he hit me in the DMs. He's like, I can't go to the game. So he's like, if you would give him away to someone else. And then Alex, he entered his name in there, and I saw it was his birthday. Thought it was a great gift. But after that game, I might have to owe you something else for coming to that game. Shout out to Chris as well. He is entering the Eagles Autism Challenge tomorrow. I will be accompanying him. We'll be walking a 5K. I don't know about running. Walking a 5K. So that will be something that we'll be doing. Mark says, congrats to Mr. and Mrs. Prime. Philadelphia is giving a big shout out to Prime as well. Shout out to Philadelphia. I met him a couple weeks ago. Comment from Adam. He says, they value these joint practice so much. Starters are not playing next Friday. I wanted to go up and watch that game. I'm not even sure if I'm going to go up there. It's just something I do. But I might have to skip this one out.
Adam said it, man. We've been talking about it all just because we didn't know, right? There's only 3 preseason games. So how the hell were they going to use them? We had no idea, dude. So these joint practices are huge. I love the fact that they're getting time.
And Mike said, is any of you out for the season? We have broken leg?
MRI.
This is knee, right?
Knee?
Yep.
Blown knee?
And he was dealing with that the last couple of weeks. He had just got put day to day, came back. We said, hey, Tyree Jackson, unfortunately out. Here's your chance. And this is awesome that you brought this up, Mike. Great question, because I wanted to say the one name I didn't get to talk about was Jack Stoll. Some of you guys know I'm huge on because of his ability to play that H-back role. He's not a fullback, because a lot of people are like, that guy going to be a fullback? It's like, no, that's not what I said. He is not an inline blocker, but the dude can block and the dude can catch. So he brings a whole different element than what these other guys do. Goddard struggled with a couple blocks I saw last night. So we need a guy that can actually block, do things. Stoll might be that dark horse for me right now. He's got a long uphill battle, but Richard Rodgers dropped the ball yesterday. It was a crap throw, but he's Mr. Dependable. Maybe you keep 4 was my opinion when Tyree Jackson was doing well. But he's probably going to go to the IR now. So he's got to be part of that 53. I could see us releasing Rodgers and then just re-signing him the next day when Tyree goes to the IR.
Yeah, I mean, you could do one of those things where you tell Richard Rodgers. You just say, hey, we're gonna cut you, but just be on standby because we'll bring you back.
Yep.
Yeah. So
But I like Stoll. What do you guys like Stoll too, right?
I mean, he's he showed something yesterday.
4 catches, like 33 yards, something.
I mean, you're just hoping that. I mean, it was the whole Tyree Jackson show.
I know, it sucks. That's what we're all bummed about.
No, I mean, we were rooting for the mullet, but I mean, the mullet got an opportunity.
Yeah.
Now Nathan brings up the beloved question: do y'all think the Eagles are going to trade Hurts? I almost said that in Pete Nathan's voice. Do y'all think the Eagles are going to trade Hurts to the Texans along with a first for Watson? I think if you listen to Peter King, a guy who's he's pretty dialed in. He said this trade wouldn't happen until next year, so this year would be off the books. I think if you're smart, you want to see what Hurts has.
Yep.
I mean, he's playing for under $2 million right now. See what he has, and then
no brainer, especially at this point in the season, off season.
Pete's out here throwing firsts and another first in there. Why isn't Jalen Hurts first in your heart, Pete?
You know who I saw last night that was impressive because we were all like, holy shit, when they were getting their pregame warm-ups in and all that stuff. They were standing there at the open practice. Elijah Holyfield is, I mean, a tank like his dad. And we talked about would he finally get some snaps because in the first preseason game, he only played on special teams. So he got thrown in. His first play gets blown up on pass protection. It's one of the things we talk about him struggling with. So one of the reasons I don't think he makes his team, but he's given himself a reason to possibly make that practice squad. Had some pretty hard runs. I think he averaged like 7.8 yards per carry. So he had a pretty decent day when they finally started handing the rock. So it was nice to see that.
Shout out to Evander Holyfield and his partial ear.
You know who we're going to have to talk about.
Yeah, this is important.
Yeah. It's funny. I was pitching a show back in the day, and one of Evander Holyfield's son was working at this like agency, and I was like, yeah, we have Evander Holyfield's son. And I was like, that's weird. Okay. Anyway, but talking about keeping hope that Rodney will be ready for week 1, Adam Michael Gibbs says, because Kayvon Wallace, we might have been talking about groins earlier in the Manscaped reads, but he's dealing with a groin injury. And then to add an insult to injury, Cam Newton calling him glitter over here, calling him a professional cheerleader because cheerleaders wear glitter. And for him calling him Captain Checkdown, I don't think Cam took that too lightly. And Cam Newton, it's kind of interesting for him to go at a man that's injured.
Hey, there's your reality check, though. Don't go after someone like Cam Newton. As a young man still trying to develop, and I thought he was doing well. You know, they're teaching him to drop back, not just be that box safety. We know that he can cover and that big nickel corner kind of guy, the outside corner at times, certain matchups. But Kayvon Wallace goes out, talks trash, he's a check down king. Dude, I love it. I love the fire, but don't expect not to feel it back if you don't step up, because before he got hurt, your ass was getting smoked. So I'm also holding out hope that Rodney McLeod is ready. But I like Marcus Epps. I continue to like Marcus Epps and Elijah Riley as depth guys. Don't want to have to see him, but we might if Rodney's not ready.
I said we need an extra safety, and here we are. I'm ready for another safety. Shout out to Timothy Bragton in the building. Says, what's up, fellas at work? His work would be NFL Films. Yes, we are so jealous. That is awesome. He says, still don't think Hurts plays next week. Nick loves these joint practices more than preseason game reps. Like it's like almost new age football these days. You know, like you're talking about as a coach, and you want a controlled environment. Like, hey, I want to see this from your defensive backs. Can you show me this? Can you show me these coverages? Can we, this is what they can do in these joint practices. They don't got to worry about film overhead, seeing what we want to work on these specific things.
That's beautiful.
Can you show us this? And this is what the beauty of a controlled environment. You can't go to a preseason game. Hey, stop the play here. We want to see, man, like, brother, we're running plain vanilla defense. Well, I saw some people in the chat talking about JG, but again, man, he's shown zone. He's thrown that zone. He's like, yeah, I'm not showing my
Not
cards.
blitzing. Like,
You got to know when to roll them, know when to fold them, right?
dude, you hit every nail on the head on that one, Gayle. It was perfect. I mean, you have the controlled environments, joint practices is exactly what we talked about last show. They are more important than these preseason games. So the same as the beginning of the show when people were saying they were pissed Hurts wasn't playing. It's like, is it really that important? Maybe he sees a drive or two next week just because this is a new team, but those joint practices are enough.
Yeah. Todd says you gotta love Landon Dickerson. Did everyone see Landon Dickerson's Hacksaw Jim Duggan meets Hillbilly Jim outfit?
Hillbilly Jim, yeah.
For all you wrestling fans out there, I think that guy is he's a glue guy. He's having a jovial moment when nothing else is going on but preseason. He just shows up with overalls, boots, and it looks like he's about to 10 crop. Get on the John Deere. Did you guys like that? Did you have a laugh at it?
Yeah. I mean, he coming into Philadelphia, not a place known for their tractor riding. So, I mean, comes in there. He doesn't care. He's being himself. And I think that's what we love about these linemen that do come here. Jason Kelsey, he's so wild. Lane Johnson, too. Brandon Brooks, more of a quiet guy. But, we love these dudes because they're themselves. And I think Landon Dickerson's going to fill in just fine.
It's like if it's like Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey had a baby.
Yeah.
But did you see that photo? If you see a photo of all the Bama guys, look at you'll find it somewhere. So when you find it, hit me up because I want to hear what you. What? Look at
Mac.
Look at
Mac
Max.
Jones.
Well, look at Max's legs, and then look at the size. I'm talking about the tree trunks of Landon Dickerson's. His one cleat in like calf is the size of of Mac Jones' leg, 2 legs. Like, it's crazy. This cleat is like, I don't know where you get these cleats from. What are they, size like 32 cleats, like Shaq size cleats? Like, he's in person on the sideline. Like, he came over to get some water, and just imagine like 30 fans like in a section. Just did everyone looked at the same time and just like they couldn't take their eyes off how large of a man this guy is. Another guy who's large, who has been rumored to have no neck. I forget which teammate it said it. Milton Williams. Milton Williams in person is exactly how you think he'd look. I mean, these two guys, just the idea of having those two guys inserted into our trench warfare, that's got to make you feel good for the future, no?
Yep.
Dude, they were huge picks, and people were pissed off they didn't know who they were. And it's like, bro, that's Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey's replacements. 2 of our favorites.
Tim has a new nickname for I don't know if this one's gonna stick, but a new nickname for Landon Dickerson, BCD.
What about BDC, Big Dickerson Country? We know
Big
BD
Country Dickerson. I don't know. We'll see.
Probably better than some of the other ones that will be coming out. Just throwing that out there.
I think Dickerson plays. I do think he plays this year. Some people don't.
He gets pupped in the beginning of the year because he's sticking on that list throughout this whole season. If they were going to use him, I feel they would have brought him off. But because he's on that list at the start, the NFI list, non-football injury, because it happened in college, that way he can go on the pup. He can come back. And it's not a redshirt season. It's just he'll be, boom, ready to practice. Come week 7, he can come out here. And God forbid something happen, he's ready to rock. I'm excited for this kid.
Could you guys imagine a heavy package on the goal line and red zone if you put Dickerson either to the left or the right or of Mailata or Johnson, and you just have running behind like dude, like if you had like 22 personnel
like a
plus an extra lineman flex, like dude,
tackle eligible.
No, technically yes, but I'm saying like
Lane
if you had, like,
tackle eligible and have him come
you
inside
have
him.
Jordan Howard or Miles in the backfield together, or if you have Gainwell and Miles in the backfield together, Goddard and Ertz, and then you have like it's very difficult because both running backs can catch, both tight ends can catch, both, and then like dude, that's a wall, like that's a moving wall. That and like if you're running behind that.
Right there, you just named it. We could have so many effing options here, and we talk about the excitement. It's like Sirianni and on the defense too, Gannon. There's going to be multiple schemes, and dude, multiple fronts on offensive line and defensive. And it's like, look, the 12 personnel, 13 personnel, whatever tackle's eligible. I think we're talking about so much excitement there. That's such a big piece of what this team is going to be. So these younger coaches, they understand the game, but they also understand preseason means jack shit. The joint practices, you get to see a lot of things you want, but even then you're not showing everything, but you get to show a lot more. You don't face these teams. And look, I really think that we're going to be showing so much more and so many different ways of, the offense and defense coming out that it's going to be like, wait, what team is this? So take everything with a grain of salt here.
Now, Daniel says, did you guys check the Dillard trade rumor box in the beginning of the show? We haven't really seen any decent depth on that position so far, right? Dillard a keeper for that reason. I think you talk about Raven Clark, right? Mm-hmm. Raven Clark. I feel like if they feel like he is as good or even better than Dillard, you could talk about Dillard being expendable for a late round pick. Could be the going rate at this moment. I just feel like why not keep him? Me personally, but I don't think that's how he works. If he can get some value for him, he will. But again, he's been injured. Are you guys are you still holding on for the Dillard experience, or?
I've been a salesman these past few shows, bro. I'm telling you, I'm going to be a salesman every time. He's been looking good. He's been progressing. He added the muscle he needed to. He's doing great. He's just not better than Mailata. So we got to trade him. If you guys got at least a 4th round pick, I'll take it. Be happy. But I agree with Gayle. I would keep him for depth because we all know we just set an NFL record for the most starting offensive lines last year. So no, thank you. But he said Raven Clark. Also, Brett Toth has been stepping it up in practice. You look at a guy like Matt Pryor on the right side, he could provide that swing tackle kind of thing. But at the left tackle, it's a huge question. Do you want to leave it up to Brett Toth or Raven Clark? So for me, I would keep him, but is his value, if someone does offer something like a 4th, are you ever going to get that again? So it's tough.
I don't know. Now, Pete Nathan says, should we trade for a veteran receiver?
I don't think that they're going to do it until the deadline, and it depends on how the season outlook is at that point. And my dream, and Pete, I was actually about to mention your comment, would be if they did a sign and trade for Allen Robinson, because I think Chicago is going to be terrible, and he's been on 2.
I think Chris is frozen in time.
I thought it was me. I was like,
Hurts, Allen Robinson, Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor. But Allen Robinson would be like the dream. He's like the ultimate 160, 180 target guy. Catch the ball 100 times, 1,000-yard receiver, 10 touchdowns, big body, just super reliable. He's kind of like, I don't want to say poor man's Devontae Adams, but they're very similar in the way that they play, and they play in the same division. But I think Chicago's gonna be awful.
Not route running wise though.
Not running wise, but they're both just very reliable. Like they're 10 catches, 100 yards every game. That's what Allen Robinson and Devontae Adams do.
Now Mora says, what are we going to do when these vets retire or sign with another team at the same time? That's what we saw last night. You're looking at Michael Jacquetts of the world and make certain plays, and I feel like, Flacco is on his way. The guys who I'm talking about when the vets retire or sign with other teams, Milton Williams, Lander Dickerson, those are the guys that you hold your breath that they're the future. And I think if they can be guys that, I think when you have 80 mil in cap space next year, right, Jimmy? 80 mil?
Yes. With the 17, with it moving to around 17 million right now, that added almost 15 million to what we had. So that puts us around 60 if you're just looking at the numbers right now. But with guys that are going to be gone and things like that, we're seriously looking at maybe $80-90 million next year.
So, and add the draft picks in 3, maybe 3 first-round picks. You're talking about a whole new vibe. We have a new vibe right now, but I feel like this is what you build off of next season. Now, you just have the fact that they threw some attention to the trenches. That's where you should be excited about. This is where you win in the trenches.
We had to build those back up, right? We had We set the NFL record. We weren't getting pressure. We won the Super Bowl with pressure and a great offensive line. They know what the recipe for success is. So, yeah, I think we're on the right track. Everyone said we weren't going to get out of this cap hell. Well, we talked about it for months, how exactly he was going to do that, how he did not only that and then some. We've got almost $18 million of cap space right now. If any, I mean, and that's like Chris said, you can have dreams this year. Maybe we make a huge move like the year we won the Super Bowl, picked up a Jai. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but we've got money now. So I love the direction we're heading. Loved the draft picks, and we got the capability of adding the next couple of years some really talented players, and we could be contenders sooner rather than later.
Now Moore says she gets it, but that's a few positions. We need depth. LOL. It was emoji horse, emoji shit. Very clever. Very clever. No, I feel like if you're looking at the cornerback group, I could see where you need to add there. I can see the safety position. I thought, again, we talked about the linebackers earlier in the show, and they gave us something. I definitely think that's a young group. The wideouts, I call those guys the young guns. I feel like they're an exciting group to follow, and their development is also nice to watch. I mean, other than that, I mean, you know, our running back, you got Gainwell here. I could bring in another running back next year in the mid rounds. From mid-round back you somewhere else. So, you know, overall, I mean, the positions that we're really focused on this year, it's really the quarterback play and, you know, the chemistry with those wideouts. That's huge. You know, I know obviously the offensive line has to be retooled. I'm spending more draft capital there and an lineman maybe in the first round. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, we're reaching the hour mark. I said we weren't even going to go out. This was going to be a quickie, but everybody's got questions that need to be answered, and that's why we're here. Before we get out of here, I mean, Chris, do you have any thing you wanted to say?
Yeah, overall, I'm just very excited for week one. Obviously, I was saying before, we still have one more preseason game. Hopefully, some of the guys that showed lack of effort step up next week. But overall, though, it was really nice to see Devonta out there. He's as advertised. Dude's always going to be open. I know some people were a little overreacting to the drops. It's fine. We've all watched this guy play for a long time at the top level against top competition at Alabama. I think he'll be good to go. Overall, though, I really think that the realistic view was our starters didn't play. That being said, it shows you that there really is a lack of depth behind them. But we kind of knew that. We're a very young team. We did deal with the cap stuff this offseason. So the guys behind the starters are good. But behind that, it's a little thin. That being said, Jimmy was talking about it. This year, interesting years as an Eagles fan because there's a lot of uncertainty. However, there's a lot of potential. And next year, we have 10 draft picks, a lot of high capital draft picks, and we have all that cap space. So, like I was saying, I know Pete was interested in that. Thinking of a veteran receiver bringing in right now, it doesn't really make sense, especially at this point in the off season. But if the Eagles are trending upwards into the trade deadline, our back end of the schedule is one of the easiest in the NFL. Like, it really is. Like, and it's against NFC East opponents. That's not saying that they're all going to be bad, but it's anyone's game when you're versing an NFC East opponent. Because when you're in a rivalry game, things happen. It could be a 10-0 team against a 1-9 team in the NFC East. You guys always want to beat each other. So let's say the Eagles are trending upwards. They get into the bye and they make a splash move in free agent in the trade deadline, like an Allen Robinson would be insane with some cap maneuvering. But that being said, like, I'm just really excited for the season. There's a lot of young guys that we're excited to see. It's all about just staying healthy. That's the main thing, and just trusting the coaches because right now they're doing a good job. You can see it's apparent with some of the guys that have been flashing at practice in the offseason. So hopefully Jalen's stomach is feeling a little bit better throughout the week, and maybe you get to see him next week, but we'll see, though.
Now, Leighton had one more question. He says, do you guys think Gainwell and Sanders will split all the carries? What will be left for Boston Scott? I think situational, you know, we're talking about taking advantage of players in space if they feel like Gainwell is a guy that you can move around and be a more comfortable pass catcher. He's a guy you could move right to the slot and do some things. I feel overall, I feel like it's Sanders, your main guy. I think Boston Scott gives you some change of pace. And Gainwell is a guy that he's a move piece. He's also, if they start doing that, that pony show with two backs,
Exactly.
You move him around, and next thing you know, he's in the slot. You're like, hey, there's a nice little dimension to this offense, and they're not going to show you that until the season starts. So we're going to see I believe we're going to see some nice things. You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised.
You just said it. The 21 personnel, man. We talked about it before we drafted him. This is why we wanted him or Demetric Felton, somebody that could play that role where you said it. They're in the background. Now they're in motion. Imagine a defense. You're looking. It's Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, Goddard, Ertz. You've got Devontae Smith-Reagor, Quez Watkins. Good luck. So I think, with Jalen Hurts, this is really built to help him out. You establish this run, and it's going to open up so many things with the play actions, the RPOs. So Kenny Gainwell is going to thrive. I don't think he's going to out-snap Miles Sanders, but he's going to get a lot for a rookie. If you play fantasy football, I would suggest getting him at some point, maybe not the first few weeks, but he's going to be a huge part of this offense. But I don't think it's just Boston Scott. In certain roles, he might get the ball, but Jordan Howard also going to receive his fair share. He's been looking like he is getting back to where he was and looks really good. So excited about the running back room.
Jimmy says trade for Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas looks like he's having issues.
Sure.
He seems like slant boy could be a headache boy.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll take Allen Robinson way before I take Michael Thomas.
Now, Jimmy, any last words from you?
I almost echoing the same thing I said the last couple of weeks. This is preseason. Let's keep an eye on everything. It's not that it's not important. It's just remember to keep everything that's happening in mind. Who are they playing with? Who are they playing against? So, yeah, there was a lack of fight last night. So that pissed me off, and you have every right to be pissed off and a little concerned. But realize what you're concerned about, the depth of this team. So we have to stay healthy. We don't want to see our starters get hurt. So these are all things we know, and that's why we're a very young team right now. We're actually like middle of the pack when it comes to age because we kept the right amount of veterans, but they're helping these young guys grow. So let's try not to overreact. And that's what I say every time, whether it's good or bad. Get excited like me. I'm just excited for football to come back. Like Chris just mentioned it. These guys are young. There's excitement. There's going to be bumpy roads. There's probably going to be a lot of weeks where we're like, we should have won that game. But they're young, and there's going to be mistakes, guys. But for me, it's the future that keeps me excited. And I don't know that I've felt this way in a while, where after the Super Bowl I was like, oh yeah, here come 5 more. But yeah, that didn't happen. So right now, I actually, for once, I'm like, Howie is doing a pretty good job. And he got us in that predicament, but I'm actually feeling pretty confident. Remember, this is the offseason. The details matter. I think, having a problem like this, a 35-0 loss, I'd rather have it in the preseason than I would week 1. So a learning lesson for these young men. Hopefully they come out fighting in these joint practices, prove why they should make the team. Looking forward to it. Loved Kenny Gainwell. Loved that we were excited about the linebackers. Loved Jack Stoll getting some reps. But other than that, there wasn't too much to gain from it other than a lack of effort, which pissed everybody off. But guys, stay excited. Football's almost here. Less than a week away. Good luck on those tickets. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!
I said earlier in the show, if you would like to go, for the people in the comments here, if you'd like to go to the show, go to the open practice. I was thinking about Major League Baseball, MLB show. But good game, by the way. Have the old one. Don't have the new one. But
it's free, isn't it?
The old one, right?
It's Game Pass on Xbox and it's free.
Yeah.
My bad.
So if you want to go to the open practice, I do have tickets to give to someone in the chat if anybody wants them. You can always DM me as well. We will be giving some away on our Twitter page. Maybe we never do any prize giveaways on like Instagram or Facebook. It's so weird. Maybe we should start doing that.
We're man of the Twitter, people.
We're always on Twitter. But again, me and Chris will be doing the Eagles Autism Challenge tomorrow. It'll be we're getting up at 7 a.m.
Already got the icy hot ready.
For the people.
Legs will be hurting.
For the people.
No, for me.
Joan wants to go to a joint practice.
Me too. Gayle, you got any suitcase room in there? Or?
Mr. Evan he's riding with me on that one.
Nice.
Daniel's asking for Mr. Hearn to come back from Vegas. Give Prime a hug from us all. Thank you guys. Thanks from Sweden. Yeah, man. Shout out to Mark. Also, Mark has sent some goodies in for the next show, some giveaways. Again, Mark Bird, a fan of the people. So we'll be giving those away shortly on the next show. But I just want to I appreciate Mark and all the stuff he likes to do for the community as well. So that's always awesome. And what else? Anything else to announce?
Not in particular, man.
Am I
Open
missing
practice. Prime's getting married. Tune in
Prime's
next
getting
episode
married.
for
Congrats,
Prime's surprise. His
Yes,
surprise is awesome.
Hey, you gotta tune in for the surprise because if you've been watching this show, you get it. If you know, you know. All right. Yeah. But until the next one, it's always fly, Eagles fly, and checking on your loved ones and make sure they're doing good because they won't always tell you. But we'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, fly, Eagles, fly.